properties. One of the major employer of persons in Cameroon after the state of Cameroon, the Cameroon Development Corporation in the banana sector, has been having a dwindling fortune ever since the eruption of the armed conflict in the restive Anglophone regions of the country, as a chunk of CDC's banana exports to the world market has suffered a regress of more than 31% decline as compared to the previous years. Plus, the South African ruling party, the African National Congress (ANC) of Cyril Ramaphosa, entered into a coalition government with the major opposition parties of the Democratic Alliance that is predominantly saturated by the white minority of South Africa, the Economic Freedom Fighting Corps Party (EFF) of Julius Malema and others. Those were major stories. Good evening to you all. This is High Prime of Friday, the 14th of June 2024. For presentation, I am attending Larry Kevin Tabon. We start off with this story from the town of Kumba, when a self-styled separatist leader known as General Black Bat has been neutralized by the forces of law and order in Meme division of the Southwest region. He has been accused of masterminding a lot of kidnapping for ransom, abduction of persons, and killing of other individuals, as the set self-time militia leader went ahead to seize cocoa farms of local population, claiming ownership of the said cocoa farms. As our reporter Aisha Mbeng has more.
Defense and security forces in Meme Division have announced the neutralization of Bisaka Bejet, commonly known as General Blackbat, a separatist fighter in Kombonye Bakundu. Blackbat was killed on June 13, 2024 in Boa Bakundu during a military operation in the area.
Was the one leading terrorism in Kombonye. Boa. Those who used to take Kumba, the Kurotiti Road, they do very well. He has seized all the Bamileke farm. He killed many people, starting by the chairman of the traditional council of Komole town. They have been executed openly by this criminal. He seized property of innocent people. You are working in your own village like a slave, going to give money to this man. Today, he has been neutralized by our brave forces of law and order.
His death comes barely 2 months after the killing of another prominent separatist figure, Matt Dog, in the same locality. Blackbat, who was accused of various crimes including kidnapping for ransom, seizure of cocoa farmlands, and torture of locals, had been a notorious figure in the area. He is linked to the deaths of 2 prominent individuals in Kombonye Bakudu, Mukate Thaddeus Oben and Obi Christopher Liunga. Additionally, Blackbat kidnapped and removed Bisingi Ebenezer Ande from his traditional position as the cupbearer of Kombonye 2 years ago, appointing his associate, now imprisoned in Boya, to the Riveret traditional throne in Oroko land. He is also accused of expelling the women traditional leader Iyamboka of Kombonye and seizing her husband's cocoa farmland. In response to Blackbat's death, Chief Sakwe Eric Dosa of Kombonye Bakundu expressed sorrow and called for unity against the forces of evil in the community.
By our brave forces of law and order, I will seize once more this opportunity to congratulate them for the job well done. Let me also advise the Meme population to continue to work with the forces of law and order if you want to have permanent peace with this Meme. Criminals like this one, they have no place in this Meme division. Population continue to work and give vital information to the forces of law and order for them to do the job.
Chief Dosa revealed that several attempts were made to persuade General Blackbat to surrender and join the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Center in Boya.
Fascinating reporting there done by Aisha Mbeng as the senior divisional officer for Meme Tuandong Chamberlain calls on the entire population over there to collaborate with the forces of law and order for such acts of vandalism and a lot of atrocities that has been happening to stop. We talk something else now with the Cameroon Development Corporation, the CDC, in the banana sector that has suffered a setback of her exports to the world market since the eruption of the armed conflict in the restive northwest and southwest region since 2016. As such, CDC, that was a major exporter of banana products to the world market, has now been relegated by other banana exporting companies in the country. And the CDC, that used to be the major employer of persons after the state, has now been relegated by the Boisson du Cameroon, formerly known as Brasseries du Cameroon. But to what extent will this dwindling fortune of CDC continue? Attempted answer with our reporter. The once vibrant banana producing company, the Cameroon Development Corporation, since the upheavals in the northwest and southwest regions of the country started in 2016, has had a dwindling fortune as her export rate has shrunk in 2017 as she shipped over 33,731 tons of banana within the period of time of 4 months. In the first 5 months of 2024, the figures has plummeted drastically with a loss of 2,247 tons of banana during the first quarter of the year. The violence and hostility that has caused workers to run away as they are constantly threatened, some killed and others' fingers chopped off by the Anglophone separatists. Within this, they have left the plantations to suffer their fate. In 2022, a special report by the Technical Commission for the Rehabilitation of Public Companies and Parastatals, known as CTRO, reveals CDC has lost more than a third of her workforce that has amounted to 5,518 employees, giving it a percentage rate of 33.7% as her workforce had to leave the company within that period of time. Despite her difficulties, CDC is trying to survive as she has resumed operations in some plantations and localities that has attained a record export of 3,300 tons in last December of 2023 and during the early phase of 2024. The slow recovery and constant threat by the unrest reigning in the northwest and southwest regions, the future of CDC hangs in a balance as she could only export 1,890 tons of banana recently. Other banana plantations of hers are not working. The CDC's inability to regain the position in Cameroon as a major exporter of banana depends on the peaceful resolution of the armed conflict in the English-speaking parts of the country. These and other points has relegated the Cameroon Development Corporation (CDC), who was the major employer of persons after the state of Cameroon, to the background as the position is now occupied by Boisson du Cameroon, formerly known as Brasseries du Cameroon. And we move on to town planning and urbanization, where the issue of town planning and urbanization remain a Herculean task for most Cameroonian councils as they have the inability to control and structure the set edifice and proper town plan.
Commune, if it is endowed with a planning document, after technical advice from the local urbanism services or those in charge of urban issues under conditions fixed by the decree. Even after having this information in mind, a great number of the population decides to go ahead with whatever project they are carrying out, only for the council to come and stop the project. But again, after such projects have been stopped, after a while, work continues right up to finishing. The big question many would love to ask is, did they comply with the law by doing the right thing, or did they just act out of stubbornness? The fact is that the law remains the law, no one is above the law, and all must function according to the law.
And from town planning, let's cross over to environment, where the Voice of Nature, a non-governmental organization that is based in the Southwest region, has educated students of some leading secondary schools and higher schools in the town in the Southwest region on the need for them to take adequate care of their environment. This was during a workshop ceremony that the said non-profit organization thought it wise to make sure that the environmental education remains essential in the lives of secondary school students all across the region. Our environmental reporter Jabi Keti was there and at Osman.
Mount Cameroon, a biodiversity hotspot in Buea, southwest region of Cameroon, with different species of flora and fauna. However, this abundance of nature, especially plant species, are facing threats of depletion.
The rapidity with which the climate is changing today is posing serious threats to a lot of things, including agricultural output. And because of this, a lot of persons are encroaching into protected area, most especially into the Mount Cameroon National Park in search of arable land.
It is in this light that the non-profit institution Voice of Nature, VONAD, in partnership with Regenerative Agriculture Hub, have trained some 50 secondary school students of Government High School Bokova, plus their parents, on the production of organic liquid fertilizers.
And so we thought it wise that if we are able to educate the community to be able to use organic fertilizer, we will boost their farm yield and will be able to divert their attention from converting more farmland, more forests into farmland to their communities where they can get maximum output on a small piece of land.
It is a timely training because we are at the first phase of our planting season. In Cameroon, we have 2 planting seasons and we are at the first phase of our planting season. And it is often said that if you want to go far, then go with people. And young people occupy 70% of the world's population.
These students and parents are inhabitants of some of the villages at the foot of Mount Cameroon.
I'm very happy for the thing where they teach us today. Because something of this nature, we used to go buy artificial thing them from market to come apply for our own crop. But this one, when a natural fertilizer, it is very good.
I'll try to make mine on my own, then call on them to come and see if I did excessively well.
The main reason or the aim for us learning how to use liquid fertilizer and how to produce them is to be able to teach our parents, our friends, who are out there, and some of them who farm at the Mount Cameroon area.
A rendezvous has been set for the parents and students to see the final product of the training, of which they will have a sample of it to apply in their farms, with hopes that they continue to produce these organic fertilizers at their individual levels.
The Yaoundé City Mayor Luke Messi Atanganang has frowned on the rate of urban disorder that is prevailing in the seat of power of Cameroon, most especially around the Mokolo market area, where traders have left the market premises and now occupying sideway or most part of the road as with their goods as they want to sell to the public. This has prompted the Yaoundé City Council to construct a new extension of the Mokolo market, constituting of close to 260 shops and over 2,500 sheds to the local population that will make them desist from this act of urban disorder by making sure that the city of Yaoundé becomes decongested, as our reporter has known. Traders and business persons operating in the Yaoundé Mokolo market in the Yaoundé 2 subdivision that is quite notorious with traffic jams as the road pace and site work has been encroached by persons trying to make a reason out of life by selling there has met with retaliation from municipal and police force, but to no avail. This polemic has led to the Yaoundé City Council to construct the extension of the Yaoundé Mokolo market, constituting of 260 350 shops and 2,700 shades in the nearby area of the Mokolo market that has been occupied by said traders. To this effect, the Yaoundé City Mayor Luke Messi Atangana insists the new space will be open to all traders of the Witier market and they will not take any nonchalant attitude from persons selling on the roadside.
Tomato vendors blocking the Witier Market Road with their trucks would equally be installed in this space. Then the voice over.
Worth mentioning, due to the urban disorder that has brought by sellers, this has been a fertile ground for thieves who carry out their unscrupulous activities by harassing persons of all sorts. With this, the Yaoundé City Council is hoping will go a long way to curb on the urban disorder and free circulation of persons and vehicles along the Mokolo Market point. To our viewers in Cameroon and around the world, you are watching High Prime and we are beaming live from our news studios here in High Television. We now cross over to the news beyond the shores of Cameroon. We start off with this focus on investment and infrastructure projects for Africa. The 67th Summit session opens last Thursday, the 13th of June 2024 in Italy during the session that involved African leaders like the presidents of Angola, Algeria, South Africa and other African countries who took the investment partnership deal from the West as they want to ensure that the continent of Africa is being in an engagement of win-win business situation. Our reporter on that first news item is Aisha Mbek.
The G7 Summit opened on Thursday, June 13, 2024 in Italy. The session was focused on investment and infrastructure projects in Africa. In the course of the session, the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment Program was high on the agenda, amongst which some of the projects include a rail corridor that will connect Southern and Central Africa. Further to it, the project will also bring telecommunication cables and other infrastructures to the region. The infrastructure investment are meant to serve as an alternative to China's development efforts, which the US and its allies seek to contain. The participation in the investment program involves many countries and companies such as Canada, Germany, and EU, as well as representatives from Italian and American private companies like ENI and Microsoft. Meanwhile, the president of the European Commission, on his part, hailed a different program.
We wanted to create an alternative for this infrastructure investment. And it is not only the financial firepower that is impressive, but PGI is sustainable. It's good for the planet, but it's also good for the country's finances, if I may say so. And this combination makes our offer different to others. Important is that we want to bring long-lasting benefits to the local economy of our partners.
Italy, which holds the rotating presidency, is hosting the G7 Summit, with one of its priorities being developing ties with Africa, where other powers have long been present. Worth noting is that the G7 Summit June session 2024 sees the invitation and presence of African leaders, including the president of Algeria and South Africa.
And we talk on education. This time around, a student from the Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine of the University of Buea has presented to the public a detailed information on the socio-economic production phenotypic molecular characterization of terran breed of cattle in Cameroon. It was during the PhD defense cases of the Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine that took place at the boardroom of the Faculty of Education as the young Ojong Emmanuel Takor narrates peculiarity that cattle in Cameroon have and the different variation pertaining to the cattle is the focus of this PhD candidate from the Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine in the University of Buea.
We have been talking about the type of terran breeds we have in Cameroon. There is a lot of admixture that have occurred, and we realize that this breed is becoming diluted. And with this, I want to call the attention that this particular breed is a trypanotolerant breed, and it's also a breed that is adapted to our tropical environment. So studying this brick is going to solve the issue of import substitution that was mentioned by the President of the Republic, and also is going to solve the one of the goals of the FAO, which is zero hunger and education.
The relevance of the topic in his thesis on the socio-economic production, phenotypic and molecular characterization of Cameroon indigenous terrain breeds of cattle was quite relevant.
Novelty in the sense that the indigenous breed is phasing out and declining, and there's a lot of mixture from other breeds, and the students saw it as a need for us to identify and see how we can be able to come out with a germplasm where we can conserve the data of this indigenous breed, and that is why he went into this work. And you agree with me that the general survey is showing that it's very difficult to have the indigenous breed because there's a lot of mixture because of movement from one end to the other, so that mixture has come and made it very difficult for us to come up with that. But the students' work has contributed to the fact that he has come up with baseline information, baseline data that they will use to be able to characterize and come out with the indigenous can have a genetic conservation, and so that future generation will be able to come out and use.
According to the PhD laureate, studying the set breed of cattle will be a novelty to the cattle breeders in Cameroon and the larger public.
So we are planning to go to the field to talk to the farmers in such a way that we are going to bring out some techniques of animal production, where the farmers are going to use this technique to improve on the productivity of their animals.
As the jury members pronounced Ojong Emmanuel Tako successful for his quality research work done so far, as he was awarded a PhD title from the University of Poya from the Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine. And on to news beyond the shores of Cameroon, we cross over to the Rainbow Nation of South Africa on the eve of the first sitting of South Africa's parliament, following the announcement on Thursday, June 13, 2024, where South Africa's governing African National Congress, ANC, of Cyril Ramaphosa, says it has a broad agreement with the other opposition parties like the Democratic Alliance, that is predominantly white minority of South Africa, who constitutes of that political party, and the EFCC and the EFF, I beg your pardon, of Julius Malema, who says they are in talk to form a coalition government for the next administration for South Africa. Aisha Mbeg once again.
South Africa's National Congress Party said on Thursday, June 13, 2024, that it has brought agreement with the main opposition and other parties to form a coalition government and end a political deadlock after the ANC lost its 30 years majority in an election 2 weeks ago. The announcement came on the eve of the first sitting of South Africa's new parliament when lawmakers will elect a president. The ANC needs to help from other parties to re-elect President Cyril Ramaphosa for a second and final term. According to what ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula told the reporters, the main opposition, Democratic Alliance and others, had agreed on the fundamental principle of forming a government unity with the ANC, although he noted that final details of the agreement had not been finalized yet, which to them represents a major breakthrough. Mbalula further added that the framework of the agreement will likely be made public on Friday. It is worth noting that a broad agreement was the first priority for the ANC to get Ramaphosa re-elected with the help of others.
The team has over the past week held multiple engagements with political parties who received seats in the 7th Democratic Parliament. The engagements also looked
The negotiation faced a deadline to reach a general agreement because of South Africa's constitution dictates that Parliament has to sit for the first time and elect a president within 14 days of the national election.